Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha.
Most people don't live their lives live them. That's because we don't run our emotions, they run us, and our lives are the aggregate of our emotions. Meditation is a technique to get behind where the emotions are, to find the thing that you can't control, and come back detached from it, and therefore in control of it. One of the biggest problems we have with these uncontrolled emotions is that we interact with each other on the psychological level to stop each other getting any higher. And I want to have a look at that and see what we can do about it. And are we going to look just at relationships with a capital R, or perhaps we should look at how this applies to all our relationships with everyone we meet? There are a number of relationships that can have a spiritual function. Our relationship with God or the Guru or Christ, for example. And relationship as a spiritual vehicle is very natural to where we are. This is Bhakti Yoga, devotional yoga, and it's natural to where you are as unenlightened beings. At this level of evolution, you see yourselves as separate and can relate to others as separate. The whole concept of relationship is based on the axiom that there's me and there's you, and we will relate to each other. Now, in the yoga of relationships, what you do is you keep going in deeper and deeper into that relationship until you experience the one that lies behind the two. That's the yoga. Yoga means union. The yoga of relationship. The problem, though, is that when I say you go in deeper until you experience the one that lies behind the two, I'm not talking about that emotional closeness, the emotional feeling that's so powerful, so intense, that you express it by saying, we're one person. When we have a very powerful emotion, we tend to use excessive language to express it. And you can't experience a one when it's emotions. It's got to come from the pure spiritual being. That is the yoga of relationship. When I was with my master Brahmananda, he was enlightened and then some. I was with a being who loved me, so my heart opened. Now, when I say he loved me, I don't mean an emotional love. That's what normal humans do. And that love needs separation. It has conditions. Why do you love him A but not him B? It's because of some attributes of him A. If him B doesn't have those attributes, then you don't love them. That's conditional love. The love that needs certain conditions or attributes before it can function. So the beloved's heart can't truly open because it's not safe for them. It knows that it has to supply or be the attributes that your love needs. It can't be itself or grow. It can't afford to risk change in any way. That's the love of the psychosocial level. Even what you think of as pure deep love is all conditional. The separation and divorce statistics show that. As soon as someone in a relationship changes, one of the partners decides, I didn't sign up for this trip, they're different now, or I'm different now. 6 months earlier, they were swearing undying and unconditional love. Then they found that there were conditions after all. So anyway, there I was with Brahmananda, and he's enlightened, and he doesn't need anything from me. So his love is pure and truly unconditional. It's safe for me to be anything. He can see the dirtiest, most secret recesses of my filthy little soul, and he just loves, because what I am can't threaten him where he's at. So because I feel so safe in his love, my heart starts to genuinely open, and I start to love him. Of course, at first my love was conditional, but that didn't matter because he was running the whole show anyway. And then because my heart is opening, I start to feel the love moving from my heart up to my consciousness, still separate at first. Then I feel it inside me, and it's part of me. And then, whether I'm with him or not, we're together. Not in the emotional sense that we normally say that to our lovers, but in a real and tangible sense. It doesn't have words to describe it. All I know is it isn't an emotion. That's the yoga, or coming into union with another being. Now, it's one thing to have that happen with an enlightened master like Brahmananda or Maharishi or whoever, but what happens when you're trying to do it with someone who's just another human? Because in most relationships, the relationship is based on a conspiracy to stay separate. You're you, and I'm me, and we will interact. And if you merge, you can't interact. Remember the conditions that I spoke of? In any form of relationship, if someone asks you, why do you like her? And you can answer, because they're like this or like that, then you're stating the conditions that make them separate from you. And you need that separateness in order to interact. Merging isn't usually part of the social contract at all. Even when you enter into a marriage or a committed partnership, that isn't normally based on merging. It's a partnership of egos. I won't threaten your ego, and you won't threaten mine, and we'll get along great together. To do it as a technique for merging is very, very difficult, because you have to be ready to go in deeper and deeper, beyond the psychosocial level where all your emotions and personal preferences are. You have to be ready to let go of all your emotions and personal preferences. You have to be ready to scrap all your existing concepts of what love is, and be ready to open your heart. Be ready to learn about love from scratch. And that love is radically different. The love that passeth all understanding, they said about Christ. That wasn't an emotional love. A relationship that tries to achieve this often walks the fine line between chaos and cosmos. It's scary because it doesn't have the protection of a conspiracy to keep separate. A yoga of relationship has to be your primary path, usually. It takes up all your time. You can't have a relationship and then go out and do other techniques, and then call that the yoga of relationship. Most yogis get themselves a relationship that's as comfortable as possible, and in which each partner can support the evolution of the other. Then they use some other yoga for their evolution, meditation, tantra, energy flow, whatever. When you do the yoga of relationship, you have to turn totally towards each other and start to surrender all your models of who you feel the other to be. You have to go through all the psychosis of each new level, work it out, and still keep going. Now, if you need someone to be something in order to maintain that relationship, then it isn't going to work. What happens when you get to the level where they're a despicable bastard who doesn't love you? What happens then? Only a truly open heart with a truly unconditional love can survive that. You need to be able to keep surrendering your models as you go deeper, till you eventually merge into the one awareness. Then you come back out into the two. It's the one manifesting as the two. And it doesn't matter what's happening at the place where you're two, because your awareness, the relationship, is happening at the one. So the dance keeps on going. The two merge into the one in order to manifest as the two. So when you use relationship as a yoga to get enlightened, what you do is you start by being attracted to the body and the personality, the shape, the smile, the smell, and they're kind and loving and exciting to be with, and all that, all physical level and psychosocial level, the normal thing. Then you use some technique, some meditation to start going beyond that. You have to pierce the veils and get to what's behind each one. And there are many veils, one behind the other, even just at the psychological level. That's the yoga of relationship. But the same process is happening with everyone else in your lives. And this is where we get to the important point of this talk. It's your relationship with everyone you meet every minute of every day that conspires to ensnare you further into the material and psychological levels and to stop you from evolving. And until you do something about that, you ain't going nowhere, baby. You can sit in all the yoga classes you like. You can join discussion groups and get really spiritual, but while you're still caught in your personal veil, you won't move. It's true that if you're doing a powerful enough meditation, that will start to move your awareness so that you become less caught in the illusion. But unless you're doing TM or better still Samyama, then it's not going to be strong enough. And if you're doing one of these high power techniques, what it will do for you is to move your perceptions so that you start to realize that you need to do some work in this area. So what is this work? Well, the trick is to pierce the veil of each person that you meet. You can do this on your own. You don't need a partner for this work. When I walk through Taunton or Yeovil, and I see, well, it isn't really the eyes, so I perceive, who each person thinks they are, which veil they are caught in. It's like they're holding up a sign saying, "This is who I am," and you're expected to enter in the conspiracy to take them seriously. So someone's walking past and everything about them is saying, "I'm helpless," or "I'm responsible," or "I'm laid back man." They're all telling you who they are, their clothes, their bodies, their body action, their facial expressions, their smile, their actions, their voices. Everything is telling you with amazing redundancy who they think they are. Then you meet, and they look at you, and you can feel their mind giving you the once-over. Then you can perceive who they see you to be. Way back, I'd come home from working with Brahmananda, and because of the work I've been doing, my mind would be really quiet, hardly being used at all, psychologically a total vegetable. But my basic being was alive and awake, vibrating and receptive, and I could feel each person's mind as it touched me. In those days, I was wearing my hair long and weird clothes. I was still in that phase of awakening then, and I felt each mind place me in the structure of their individual veil, place me as who they saw me to be in relation to how they saw themselves. Like, "What does he think he looks like?" Or, "Oh, it's a holy guy," or "Wow, I want to be like him," or very often just "Yich." And even in less evolved states, you can do that all the time. You can quiet your own mind so that as you meet each next person, you just watch the process of their mind. You can feel it come towards you. What we usually do is we meet and our minds reach out and each mind embraces the other person and we agree what we will make believe we all are. And it's all done at the subconscious level. You're just not aware of it. So there you are in the supermarket checkout queue. The checkout girl is busy being a checkout girl and you're busy being a customer. But behind that veil, she's busy being charming and you're busy being harassed and frustrated. That's a slightly deeper level of personality. And behind that veil, she's busy being a sexually attractive, seductive person, and you're busy being a responsible, highly placed senior executive. Everyone picks up all these cues subconsciously, and everyone plays their part in the drama. Hello, that'll be 98.64. Thank you, do you take Visa? It's all a puppet show. It's all mechanical, operated by the mind. The question is, where's your awareness in relation to that? The predicament is that if you're busy believing that you're somebody, if you're busy believing that you're the veil that you're caught in, then you need other people to reassure you that you are somebody. So if you think you're a sexy person, you need people to react to you as a sexy person. You're constantly using everyone around you to reinforce your somebodyness. And if they don't, that's the start of your insecurity neurosis. So there's this incredibly complex dialogue going on all the time, and it's so seductive because you believe it's real. So, how do you step off the merry-go-round? Well, if you're meditating regularly, using the most powerful technique you can get, and that will be one that you're initiated into, you won't get this off the internet or out of a book, then your mind starts to quieten. You spend more time in the witness, we call it, or the watcher, meta-awareness, and your awareness starts to lift itself free of some of the veils, so that your task is to practice staying centered and to let other people's projections pass right through you. There's no attachment, no clinging, there's nothing for it to hold on to. Because you're nobody, and this will happen more and more as you release more and more of who you think you are. It's your projection of who you think you are that allows other people's minds to seduce you into a conspiracy of attaching to who they think they are. When you're not busy being anybody, when you're nobody, then you can be like the chameleon. You can dance the dance with anyone on any level, because your awareness is clear and not attached, and you don't get caught in the veil. And it's the degree to which you're not caught that gives them the space to evolve. Because just as their caughtness seduces you, it's the degree that you think you're this or that that keeps them ensnared at their level. This is why being a spiritual teacher is totally different from any other form of training or teaching or helping profession. You see, I'm also a trainer. And those of you who are trainers will resonate with this. Any subject that I can understand, I can train in, because my skill is the skill of training. I don't need to be an expert in a subject itself. I only need to understand that subject, and I can use my training skill to train others to be experts in that subject. But spiritual teaching is different. The goal of the spiritual teacher is to help you to evolve, not just to teach you a lot of facts and skills. If I'm caught in the veils of the psychosocial level, then I can't help you to evolve because I'm too busy being what I think I am and needing you to be somebody too. Only to the degree that I'm free of attachments can I help you to get free from yours, because then I don't need you to be anybody. You meet a lot of people who are glamoured by the idea of spiritual teaching, and that's just another attachment that has to go. They believe that if they learn the words and sound laid back, they can do it. That just means they're swapping one role within the veil for another one. You can see the ones who are caught. They're so busy being their model of a spiritual teacher that they haven't got the time or energy to evolve themselves to the point where they can become a spiritual teacher. You can normally tell them by their hairstyle or the beads or the ethnic clothing or the much-practiced oh-so-calm personality. And they always have a website telling you that they're a spiritual teacher. It's all just more of the mind sign that says, this is who I am. And when you see that, you also see there's just one more veil that they're caught in. It's not spiritual, it's emotional. It's all the material and psychosocial level stuff. It's a tough teaching, but anything that happens between you and another person is going to be a function of what you are, not what you know or what you can do. The most valuable thing you can ever do for anybody else is to increase your own level of consciousness. So, summary time. It's only by raising your consciousness above the material and psychological levels that you start to go behind the veils, theirs and your own. You can start this by using the mind. That will get you behind the veils of the material level and the outer veils of the psychological level. But then you're caught in the inner veils of level 2, we call it, is the psychological level. And there's all of the astral and psychic levels to go through yet. You can't use the mind to go beyond the mind, any more than you can use a knife to carve your initials into the handle of that same knife. You need a meditation technique which generates power or energy from the higher levels. Then you can use that to raise your consciousness to those levels.
Om Gram Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gram Ganapataye Namaha.